Our next Hall of Fame presentation is sponsored by the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. I would ask, especially since the presentation is being made to a very honored member of the Glace Bay community, I would ask Area MLA Dave Wilson to please come forward to make the presentation. Our induction in the athlete category is from Glace Bay, Mr. Naish Barren. Naish grew up in the environs area of Glace Bay, and he excelled in both baseball and hockey. And although his baseball days are over, he is still playing the game. At the age of 77 years, he still laces up the skates twice a week in the Huff and Puff League in Glace Bay. One of a family of 8 boys and 6 girls, Naish's first love was baseball. He was a shortstop in midget baseball with St. John's, a squad that later combined with their rival, St. Anthony's, number 11, to form the Antonians of the Cape Breton Juvenile Baseball League, winning the Maritime title in 1948. And was a member of the junior number 11 Antonians, coached by Jimmy Odell, won the Maritime crown in 1952. Naish captained the minors when the Cape Breton Senior Baseball League was formed in 1956, making it to the Cape Breton finals that season. In 57, the last year Naish was active in baseball, the minors won the Cape Breton title, but lost out to Canning in the provincial championship. Naish would eventually give up baseball and spend his summers with the family and commit to the sport of hockey in the winter. In 1950, he and the Glace Bay Miners bounced back to oust the Sydney Millionaires in the best-of-7 Cape Breton finals 4-3. The next season, he joined St. Mary's of Halifax, and he scored the winning goal in the Halifax squad's 5-2 victory over Sydney in the deciding game of the provincial final. Naish saw action with senior teams from New Glasgow and Fredericton and played intermediate hockey until the Cape Breton Hockey League was revived in 1956, and he was captain of the Glace Bay Miners. He was named playing coach in the 1960-61 season, stepped down as coach in 65, and continued playing for the Miners until the end of 1966. He scored close to 200 goals between 1956 and 1966. He retired from Air Canada as a station manager or station agent at Sydney Airport in 1989, and worked another 2 years with Air Nova before retiring for good. But he never retired the stick and the skates. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Naish Barren with a very good friend of his, Mr. Freddie Courtney.
Three rules they tell them you have to follow when you're going to speak. The first one is be brief. The second one is be brief. And the third one is be brief. But having said that, I'm glad Dave said that we're not going to rush through this. Now I realize that blessed is the man whose speech is short, for he shall be asked to speak again. And I would remind you that if any are interested, I'm doing a church service at Warden United Church tomorrow morning if you'd like to attend. All kidding aside, it is my privilege tonight, and certainly my honor, to say a few words on behalf of my friend and my former line mate, Mr. Naish Barren. For all of those who have been inducted here tonight, the achievement you deserve, and your inductee into the Cape Breton Sports Hall of Fame. You worked for it, you've earned it, enjoy it. Tonight you have chosen to honor and recognize an individual who I have known for a long time, and an individual who really never wanted to bring attention to himself. In our association, when we would meet, I would say, Naish, why aren't you in the Cape Breton Sports Hall of Fame? And he would say to me, no, not me. What about that? I'm thinking, when I was thinking about Naish, I was thinking of that thought in my mind. With the exception of maybe of Naish himself here tonight, every one of us here tonight are convinced beyond any shadow of a doubt that he is a most worthy recipient and inductee into the Cape Breton Sports Hall of Fame. I noticed in his comments in the Cape Breton Post, quite an honor. Excited when I heard it. Now what do you think about that for a man of few words? You know, I knew of Naish Barren before I really knew Naish Barren. And I guess that's what it is when you're involved in sports. You always hear about those people who excel at the sport of their choosing. Namely for Naish, baseball and hockey. I had the opportunity and the privilege of playing with Naish in both sports. I was also fortunate enough to have him coach me in baseball and in hockey, and an association with him that extends over 50 years. Naish is, I consider, among those people that you'll meet along the road of life, and you're glad you met them, because they've enriched your life, and they've become good friends. We also shared many battles on and off the ice, and on the hockey rink. In both sports, Naish was a fierce competitor with a great desire to win. But let me say this, that in spite of that desire he had to win, he always set an example of hard work, fairness, and good sportsmanship. He was always that. His competitiveness in the diamond and on the ice was self-evident, but never at the expense of gentlemanly conduct. I remember we were playing what I thought was a very unsportsmanlike opponent. Now, don't get excited. It wasn't a Cape Breton team. And when it was all over, it was time to shake hands. And even I was thinking to myself, why are we going to shake hands with those fellas? I had my doubts, and Naish was coaching at that time, and he said, let's go, boys, and shake hands. And in my own mind, I was saying, why? And he must have heard me thinking to myself, because he said, it's the right thing to do. And so it was. Now that's even in the agony of defeat. A former referee of Naish's, McMahon, he said, I have known Naish off and on the ice. I worked with him, and he was always the perfect gentleman. Now, I have to say one other thing. Well, I want to say a few more things about him, but I think of the words always the same. You know, people that know that they're always the same, they never change. I went down to see the Huffers and Puffers play this year because they were doing some work for me for the Salvation Army. And who's out there on the ice? I know it's Naish Barren. And I looked at his picture in the paper when it came in the paper, and I look at him now, and at 77, he looks the same. And you know, most of us get a little rounder. He didn't change. I guess he still weighs the same, or maybe even less. Some people, I guess, just don't change. I remember Vincie and I and Naish played together, as you know, as a team. And one night